When we speak about wars in India, our understanding and discussions are often limited to the kings of India. But did you know that India was almost at war and there were a series of bombings in India back in the year 1943 during the World War II? Japan, after the Russian war, grew confident that it wanted to take over the entire Asia and it believed it had the superiority to take everybody under its wing and to give them protection. China was its prime target. Japan had already had 25% of China back then under its wing. It wanted to further push it forward and become the superpower of the Asia. That made Japan set its eye on India, the revered jewel in the crown of the British East India Company. The British, on the other hand, were helping China with all the wartime supplies to go ahead and fight against Japan. So Japan saw this opportunity as a twofold target. Number one, it wanted a strong foothold and wanted more of China and then proceed to go ahead and get entire Asia under its wing. Number two, it wanted to humiliate the British East India Company by targeting British East India's colonies by sending a strong message that Britain was not even capable of protecting its own colonies. Thus began the grand bombing series by Japan in the year 1942. By April 1942, Japan was already successful in bombing certain areas of Burma where Burmese flew in flocks to Chennai in India. Along with them came the horror stories, the stories of bombings and serial bombings and how devastated people were in Burma. All these stories made way to Chennai along with the Burmese people. The resilient Chennai, Madras back in the day, kept its cool and kept its resilience until it started hearing stories about bombings in Ceylon, which is the modern day Sri Lanka, and the southern regions of Andhra Pradesh like Visakhapatnam and Kokanada, which is the modern day Kakinada. It is unbelievable to even think that regions which are about 300-400 kilometers from where I belong were bombed during the World War II. It is unimaginable. This is when Chennai grew impatient, and this is when Chennai started to feel the heat of the war. The war has finally come to home. Madras went into a state of panic. People started running away. People started running away in flocks, 50,000 people per day. Approximately 500,000 people left Chennai in the next few weeks. This was one of the bustling metropolitan cities at some point in time, and we're talking about a city that has gone into silence. Prisoners were shifted to prisons in Andhra Pradesh, which is a neighboring state, and then wild animals in the zoo were ordered to be shot at because in case the bombing happens, the wild animals would step into the city, killing people in numbers. However, it is highly debated if this happened or not. Finally, on the November 11th, if I'm not mistaken, in 1943, a Japanese bomber managed to drop a few bombs in Chennai. Chennai was well prepared, kept a low profile, censored newspapers, no media allowed, and also blacked out the entire city by killing electricity. There were also floods during the time which made it really difficult. Japan quickly dropped a few bombs on the Madras port, destroying oil containers and a lot of supplies. The logic being, supplies to China were coming from India through the port cities and were coming through the Burma-China road. Japan wanted to destroy these to choke China off of its supplies. This was the grand plan. Because of the newspaper censorship and because of the blackout, people didn't even know that there were bombings happening in the city. The government underplayed the attack and most of the people didn't even know about the attack, and it didn't even come out in the media because of the censorship. And Chennai slowly crept into normalcy. Eventually, Japan had to face the wrath of American warships that dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Eventually, the grand dream of Japan to become the superpower of Asia faded away. One of the most saddest episodes, one of the most dangerous episodes that Madras or the South India had to go through, and most of us don't even know about it. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next video. Until then, this is Casey signing off. You're watching TV, and I will see you again.